Hello and welcome to Recharge Wrestling. We are here to plug you in to the world of professional wrestling. I'm Keeney and I'm joined, as nearly always, by Fisher and Krusty.
Hey, yeah, with the Three Musketeers back in action this week.
Full crew back for this week's pod. So coming up this week, we've got a longer than usual news segment, I think, because we're going to be mentioning the breaking news of the last week of wrestling, which has been a fair bit of, as I'm sure you're all aware. And then we're going to crack on with our normally weekly rundown of SmackDown, Raw, NXT, and AEW. So, guys, I think we've got to kick off with the biggest news story in modern wrestling, let alone in the last week. Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes have left AEW. What's your initial reactions, guys, to that?
Well, it's just shocking, really, isn't it? I mean, we never expected this to come. If anyone was going to be the first sort of, I don't know, betrayer, like back to WWE from AEW of a really big deal, you would not have chose Cody Rhodes. The fact that he had such investment in the startup of this company, he's made God knows how many jibes at WWE in promos, even recently. Brandy was the chief brand officer for AEW. It's just absolutely insane. And I've said it before. It's as if the in-ring entertainment is coming out of the ring. It's absolutely crazy. It's as if it's a storyline that the two companies are working together to create. Absolutely Barney.
Yeah, exactly. Got to be said, we've said he's the first person to go over from AEW to WWE. It isn't confirmed he's going to WWE yet, so we can't be 100% sure.
I'm getting overexcited, aren't I? Yeah,
but
I'll basically put him through the door.
It's heavily rumored, and to be honest, if he's leaving AEW, where else is he going to go? I mean, he could go to like New Japan or something, but I don't see that happening right now. He's only just had a baby and stuff, and I just don't see the travel sort of thing, and I think he'd want something long term stuck down, and I think maybe WWE is the best option for him. If he's leaving AEW, it's definitely the best option for him. It's apparently, interestingly, I was reading that Brandy is apparently not going to sign for WWE. I don't know if that's WWE aren't interested in her, or she's not going to be. So it'd be interesting if she's stepping away from wrestling altogether. Because
I did actually read that she still wants to have championship goals at some point in her career. So I think she does want to stay with wrestling, but maybe, as you say, WWE aren't interested. Out of the two, Cody Rhodes is obviously... he's far higher caliber, isn't he? In terms of wrestling. But
it's just huge news. Wow. Like you say, he wouldn't have been the first person I'd have expected. It'd have been one of the last people I'd have expected. Like you say, he's made jibes at WWE before. The sledgehammer thing. I was actually listening to an interview earlier from Cody on another channel. I think it was done sort of middle to the end of last year, but they re-released it yesterday, and he was talking about that, and he actually said, I don't know if he's lying or telling the truth in interviews because you can't tell, but he was like, oh yeah, Triple H is my favorite wrestler. I was like, is he just saying this because he knew he was leaving AEW and he wants to go back to WWE, or is that like, I don't know, it's very weird.
This feels out of the blue. I mean, you're talking about that interview then. You go back 3 weeks and he's having an interview talking about Gunther, McGillicuddy and taking a mick out of them, changing names, and AEW doesn't do this. And so it's not like this is, it feels like...
But was that him who said that?
Nothing's led up to this.
I mean, I'm assuming that was his line and he said it, but...
I don't think AEW write promos, especially for people like Cody. So I think that was him. So I don't think this was a pre-planned decision. So that's what makes this more surprising. And I just think it's a bit of a shock to go if he goes back to WWE, because he's all about creative freedom and he loves all of that, and he's not going to get that in WWE. So he's almost going back a step to what he had before.
Unless WWE have promised him something that they don't promise a lot of people. The thing is, and I've seen a few people say this, if he does go to WWE, they need to book him well, because that can be them saying, look, if you come back from AEW or you come over from AEW, we can book you strongly. We will treat you like a star if you've been built somewhere else. Because Cody Rhodes was a relative star when he left WWE the first time, but he wasn't a huge star. He's come back much bigger than he was when he left. And it's a bit like... Sorry, I was just going to say, it's a bit like what Drew McIntyre did, but to a different scale. Drew didn't go to a rival company and start one up. But Drew McIntyre got released. It was kind of a big start at the start, then his stock fell down. He got released, went on the Indies, went to Impact, made himself a bigger star, then came back to NXT, and then all of a sudden the rocket was strapped to him, and he's in main events of WrestleMania. They can do that with Cody Rhodes, in my opinion, and they should, to get people thinking. Then in 2 years' time, when MJF's contract's up, if Cody's still at the top of the card in WWE, you might think, do you know what, it's worth going over there. Whereas if they bury him, no one from AEW in the future.
I think you're right there.
I don't think they can.
I don't think it'd be stupid, wouldn't it? The thing is, I think I've been thinking about this lately, and we were quite confused whether some of his promos was storyline or some of his real feelings were coming through. And I almost get with Cody, as much as it's so hard to decide what's real life and what isn't, that he was this massive star at the top of AEW for probably the first year and a half. And then suddenly all these big names have come in and he's almost been pushed to the side.
Well, there's more and more coming as well.
Yeah, the fans aren't really receptive of him. Whereas if you go back to the feuds with MJF and things like that, the fans were so behind him. And it's almost like he's gone, WWE have been watching this and said, right, now's our chance. Let's try and steal him. If anything, just to stick a knife into AEW, as if to say, this is what we can do. Never mind taking your superstars. We're going to take basically one of your board members. It's absolutely crazy.
This is a proper... I mean, we joked a couple of weeks back of Shane McMahon to AEW. This is worse almost than that. This is a real retaliation from WWE. The first one, because we've seen AEW pick up so many of WWE's former stars, all of them released, didn't want to, or ask for their release, or people they weren't interested in keeping. And for them to get someone like this in return is massive. And I just think they've got to have him at the top of the card. He has to be like main eventing. I mean,
with that in mind,
to see whether Mania plans.
Well, I was going to say, what would you do, fantasy booking wise here? What would you do as his first feud? Say he does wrestle at Mania, or maybe SummerSlam if he comes in after Mania and he build him to SummerSlam or something. What would be your first feud?
If we go in Mania, again, how do they bring him in? Do they bring him in as a face, as a heel? They're not going to acknowledge AEW because they don't do that. So it's going to be interesting how he's presented.
I think you go face, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't know.
I'd be tempted to bring him in as a heel and put him up against AJ Styles. Could you imagine that match?
Yeah, well, I was going to say Drew. I was going to say Drew,
yeah.
I think the perfect first match for him would be Seth Rollins, based on...
I wanted to say it, but I thought it's so cliche if I say it.
Yeah. Honestly, because I feel like it makes sense in the sense of, if Triple H was not, in full health, I'd say Triple H would be the perfect match for him because of the inbuilt story there. But in terms of second best, I think Rollins kind of is Triple H's sort of almost his understudy, if you know what I mean. The closest thing you can get in terms of a company man who comes out, defends WWE a lot, and you'd get a great match out of it. And I think having Rollins against Cody, and Rollins isn't necessarily set in a main event program at the moment for Mania. So I think you could easily just throw that on the card, do 3 weeks build, and it'd be great. Like, honestly, I honestly think that's what I would do.
Yeah,
really exciting, whatever happens, isn't it?
But if you bring him as a heel, both of your options are also very good.
AJ, it's just whether how they're presenting, because I just can't. They're not going to be like, oh, this is the guy who formed another company and he's back. And because, there's we've mentioned it so long about, he just needs to turn heel. Maybe him re-signing for WWE is his official heel turn. Maybe it's like, this is what
the thing is, I wanted him to be heel in AEW. Now it's going to be very difficult to reinvent him, isn't it?
Well, I mean, Fisher said to himself a minute ago about how, actually, I mean, Newcastle said about how the fans weren't really receptive of him in AEW towards the end. Be very interesting to see how WWE fans react to him. Because I do not know how they're going to be.
I think he's going to get a big cheer. That's why I would keep him as a face. Yeah, I do. Because I think WWE fans that don't like AEW will love the fact that he's come in and like stuck it to them. And I also think people that like both shows and remember Cody Rhodes from before when he was in WWE will just be a fan of his anyway in the Rhodes family because it's, Dusty, Dustin, everyone. So I think he comes into a big pop. That's why I would initially have him as a face and then maybe turn him down the heel a few months down the line because I do think maybe he works better as a heel, but I don't know. He can do both. So
he can. He can.
And he very much lives in the grey area a lot of the time, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. It's just so interesting and so exciting. And now, I mean, you mentioned it, Krusty, about it almost feels like a storyline. It's like if you were writing this, you could almost write it better than having this happen this way. And I just think
I hope Shane goes to AEW now.
Yeah, let's have Shane go the other way. I mean, I actually heard earlier on another wrestling podcast that it's almost like Keith Lee's replaced him, like because Cody left and then Keith Lee come in, and they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just get rid of Cody for Keith Lee, and got
rid of him out of the start of Dynamite quick, didn't they? The pictures at the start, they got rid of him out of that quick.
Because Tony Khan will know how close he is to signing for WWE. You can't have that in your.
Well, I think there's been a fallout.
What is good, and we'll probably go to later, but they do mention him on AEW TV this week. They don't hide away. They mentioned that the dog collar match, the only one before was Cody Rhodes, Brody Lee. And they mentioned about him losing to Sammy Guevara as well on the show. So there's a couple of mentions to him.
It's insane how quickly this has all just come about. The only thing that's really made me think I understand him leaving is because he's had a taste of show business, hasn't he? He's been on a couple of big TV shows in America. He's got his reality TV show. And
he's basically the Miz, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think if he's thinking for his future, who's going to be able to give him the big money and give him that global push? It's going to be WWE, isn't it? In terms of non-wrestling content. And if he doesn't sign for WWE, maybe he's got some deal lined up outside of wrestling. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, before all the strong rumors came out, and that's all they are. They're all rumors at the moment, but we're putting two and two together and getting four. But I thought it's actually a work. I still didn't think he was leaving AEW, even when he announced it. Even when AEW and Tony Khan announced it, I still didn't believe it. I thought it's all a work and it's not real. A bit like Johnny Gargano of NXT. I thought it's not real. He's not actually leaving.
Still could be a crazy work.
I really don't think it is.
Deny it. I know, but it just that little thing. The fact
that it's been pretty much confirmed that he's at least spoken to WWE. If WWE are in on the work, then that would be weird.
It's more the fact that both of them are getting publicity. So why would you shut something down if you were having people interested and looking? But I don't believe that. It's just a little theory.
No, I've seen a lot of people that still think it is, but I think they're working themselves now. Like people are just trying to come up with some fantasy scenario, and also there's a lot of people that probably don't want him to leave if they're big AEW fans and they can't believe that it's happened and they don't understand why. There will be a lot of.
Yeah, we've mentioned before about the tribalism, and there'll be a lot of upset AEW fans about this.
Definitely.
But this isn't the first misstep from AEW's part in terms of they've had a couple, but this is the first one-upsmanship that WWE have over them. Up until this point, it's been all one-way traffic in terms of stealing other people's. Well, not stealing because they've released them, but I mean,
Bryan Danielson though. He
was. Bryan Danielson was actually a big.
And even people like CM Punk was a free agent, and they got him to go back to wrestling.
John Moxley.
Sting is another one. There's quite a lot of guys.
John Moxley was before, wasn't he?
Yeah, John Moxley left as well, but he's another. He is another one though.
Yeah.
And talking of, so should we move on to the other news story?
Yeah, I think so.
Somehow not the biggest news story this week.
Well, it may. I think it is at the moment.
It depends who you are, really, doesn't it?
I think it is at the moment purely because the other thing hasn't been properly confirmed yet. And that is, of course. No, well, Cody leaving has. But not Kevin Owens, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We mentioned it last week on the podcast.
The Texas Roundstep.
That We thought it was leading to Kevin Owens' promo about Texas could be leading to somewhere with Stone Cold. It was either going to be Stone Cold or The Undertaker. They're the two big names from Texas. And it seems like WWE are trying to get Stone Cold out of retirement for a match here, which I thought it was just going to be a segment. I'll be honest, I thought they were going to do Kevin Owens comes out, rants about Texas, Stone Cold comes down, gives him the stunner, chucks beer on him, walks off. And it might be more or less that, but in a form of a match.
So, I'm Stone Cold. He's my favorite wrestler of all time. I absolutely love him, but I don't want this to be a wrestling match. I want it to be exactly what you said. I want Kevin Owens to do what he does and moan, and Stone Cold to come out, stunner him, and give him the finger and drink beer with the fans. I do not want this to be a wrestling match because another one of my favorites of all time, Shawn Michaels. He said he'll never wrestle again. Then he came back. It was
a disaster when
a couple of years back in that tag team match, which was terrible. And I just don't want Stone Cold to ever wrestle again. I think he just left brilliantly, and I just don't want him. I'm just fed up with all these wrestlers coming back for just one match. It's almost not worth it. Like, he could come back for this segment and give Kevin Owens the rub, but I don't think he should have a match at WrestleMania.
I don't disagree
I'm his
with you
biggest
at all.
fan.
I'm really excited. Whatever happens, I'm really excited. But I have read that if we do get him back, the likelihood is it's going to be on like an Edge or a Goldberg style deal where he has a few matches every year.
I would assume he's just doing this one match.
Money talks. Apparently, Saudi Arabia have offered almost like £3 million per match.
But he's been asked a lot in the past, Stone Cold.
But I don't know if the sort of money's been put up. I think WWE now, I mean, how much they're having record profits. They've cut so much talent that they've probably got quite a lot of free money around. And they're also thinking,
they've got more money than ever.
AEW down. Stone Cold Steve. The only you can almost not trump that. The only way you can probably get bigger than that is just because of his further reach is getting The Rock.
Which they're probably going to do soon as well.
Yeah. So they're just going to throw all the eggs in the basket.
I think The Rock is firmly in Vince McMahon's pocket in terms of if he ever wrestles again, it'll be WWE. There's no chance. Tony Khan can get The Rock to appear on AEW TV. There's no chance of that.
He randomly appeared on Impact in a video, but other than that, I don't see anything else happening.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe wrong. Maybe.
No, but it wasn't a proper appearance. He didn't turn up He didn't turn up. He did a speech for Ken Shamrock.
He did like a wrestling promo on the halftime of Super Bowl. Don't know if you guys saw that the other day.
I did.
That was
He's everywhere. He's everywhere.
He's brilliant, isn't he?
I suppose the thing that's made this rumor stronger that he's definitely going to turn up at Mania, not necessarily wrestle, is the sort of Kevin Owens promo from this week where he went awesome. It was just proper heel insulting Texas massively, which is just luring Stone Cold out. It'd be quite disappointing if it's not Stone Cold now.
I think it will definitely be a segment, at least with Stone Cold. It's just whether he actually has the match. I don't mind him. I know. I completely understand what Keeney said. I don't mind if they do a match, but I don't want Stone Cold to get to embarrass himself and try it. The problem with the Shawn Michaels one is they did like a 20-minute tag match with 4 people that are over the age of 50 in it. It was Triple H and Shawn Michaels v Kane and Undertaker, all past their best. If they do a 3-minute match with KO because KO can bump his ass off. So if Stone Cold just stunners him and KO just flies to the other side of the ring and pins him, I'm cool with that. Just don't do a 10-minute match where Stone Cold blows up and he looks knackered. He falls over. I was going to say
10 minutes of Stone Cold stood on the ring, getting beers lobbed at him. That's what we want to see.
The thing is with Stone Cold is he has never had a vast moveset.
No.
If you watch his rest matches back in the day, he's usually getting beaten up and he bleeds and he's getting knocked around the ring. And then he'll do he'll stomp a mud hole in him, he'll knock him on the floor and punch him in the face and he'll do a stunner. He doesn't really have a moveset of sorts. So he can't dominate a match because he doesn't have the moveset to do that. And I don't think maybe I don't know what shape he's in, but I'll be surprised if he's in a shape to get knocked around for 10 minutes and then come back so I just don't really know how it's going to work. And I'm
excited for whatever they do though, honestly. I am.
And just at the end of the day, when that glass shatters, I'll be
KO's my favorite current wrestler, and it's Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, that's a beautiful combination for me.
It's a perfect opponent.
And the promos in the build up.
Kevin Owens. Yeah.
The promos in the build up are going to be sensational. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, so I'm happy about that. So shall we move on to start the actual show?
Yeah, that was an exciting news segment for us, I think.
Yeah,
two of
segment.
the biggest things you could probably comment on at the moment.
Yep. Yeah, let's move on to SmackDown then. What did you guys take away from SmackDown?
Well, shall I start with a real positive and start with my top mark of the week? Came from SmackDown, which hasn't happened in a while. It's been a lot of skid marks from SmackDown. So to get the top mark of the week is very rare. But they had a sensational, unexpected as well. I really was expecting like a schmozzy finish, like a 10-minute match, if that. Charlotte and Naomi absolutely went for this. And I'm giving it my top mark because it just shocked me. You know, not because neither can wrestle. They can't wrestle. They're both great, but they gave it time. The crowd were really hot and into it as well. And for me, this was a performance that reminds you how good Naomi can be.
Yeah. Because
we haven't had that in a long time. A lot of her matches in this feud with Sonya Deville have been, and the one against Sonya was actually quite good the other week, but a lot of them have been 2-minute matches with Shayna Baszler, Natalya, even Charlotte before, you know, sort of really quick matches. She hasn't had a long match where you go, wow, Naomi's so good. And this match was a reminder that she should be in a good spot. Like she could legitimately hold the SmackDown or Raw Women's title again. And I'd be happy about it after watching that match. Like I'm like, oh shit, yeah, she can really deliver on the big stage. And I think we needed a reminder of that, and this match did it. So that's why I loved it. And Charlotte, fair play. I mean, she is a big match person. When Charlotte gets a big match, she is great. Like no one can deny that, and she really put on a show here as well. So yeah, just fantastic main event for SmackDown. I was pleasantly surprised that we didn't just get a roll up or DQ finish. We got
so happy we didn't, because we've been frustrated for a couple of years with how Naomi's been booked.
Yeah,
and Charlotte again, as you say, really put her over, which is great. Sometimes you can sort of tell when she's not into it, but she really was loving this. Naomi looked absolutely fantastic. There was a point where she hit the rear view, and I actually thought she had it. So it was really convincing.
Yeah, it was like, a really convincing near fall. Really, I was like, hang on. They're not.
And then she did the split leg moonsault as well when she kicked out of that as well.
Yeah.
So she hit all her big moves, Naomi. You know?
Yeah.
It was a really
great. To be honest, I honestly would have been happy with this at pay-per-view. Just going through my notes on this match, and I'd put that I'd have been happy with this at the pay-per-view. It was that good.
Yeah, I think it was so good because they, like you said, they just gave it time, and so rarely on these shows they give you a proper title match. When it's a title match on a show, it's usually a nothing match, and they gave this one a proper. You know, usually it's just a further storyline, and I know we did kind of get Ronda and Sonya at the end, but this was a proper match. It was reminiscent of Liv and Becky a couple of months back on Raw, where they gave it like 25 minutes at the end of the show to just see it out. Yeah. It was just a proper match, two great performances, and that's what I'd compare it to. And yeah, it's brilliant. And I criticised Naomi a month or so back for her performance in ring. You can't criticise her here. She was brilliant, I thought. And I just want to see her.
I really like the after-match angle as well. Which helps it as well. Like sometimes, you know, that could have been it. That could have been the show, and I'd have been happy. But then you got the beatdown after. And then, you know, Ronda wasn't advertised to be on the show. Well, she might have been internally, but I didn't know Ronda was coming out until they did the angle. And it was kind of obvious. But then Ronda comes out, makes the save, and sets up the tag match for Saturday. So yeah, that was quite good. I thought all very good.
Yeah,
excellent. Something else from SmackDown. I won't talk too much about it, but it was Los Lotharios versus New Day, which first I thought was a bit of a shame because, again, you've got Big E coming from this World Championship run to being just put back in the New Day, which is a shame. And then to add to it, which is bad and good, is New Day lost to Los Lotharios. But actually, the more I thought about it, this is awesome because you're pushing two guys who really should be pushed, especially in the tag division where they're definitely needed. So it was nice to see them get a win. It's just a shame again to see Big E sort of pushed back into his old role, losing that momentum he gained as a world champion. But yeah, really interesting the fact.
The only thing I would argue is how much are they being pushed here. They lost to New Day last week and they won by roll up this week.
I
mean, it's something to beat the New Day.
One thing I did like about them, and it wasn't really to do with the result of the match, but I thought they had a bit of a new presentation here. They gave them a new nickname before, which I think was the Lethal...
Lethal Lovers.
The Lethal Lovers. And they also had a kiss cam. And they come down there pretending to kiss. Funny, obviously, a planted girl. She was not a normal. That was not a normal member of the WWE audience. I can tell you that.
I was going to say you'd be standing in the front row, wouldn't you, Keeney?
I'd be straight there for the kiss.
But yeah, she was obviously planted there. But yeah, I just thought that was a cool little thing. I'm guessing that's their new entrance, and I liked it. I liked it actually. I thought it suits their gimmick perfectly. And it's just a bit of fun. And I think that little things like that can actually add to a push. They give you a bit of character because they're great in the ring, but they need a little bit of an edge. And I think, a bit like you talk about the Alpha Academy on Raw. They had been great in ring, but they needed something extra. And I think Chad Gable's found that. Maybe they can find it with little things like that can help them, I think.
Maybe. Angel's always been great.
He is charismatic.
In everything he does.
Yeah.
Does he still rip his trousers
big
off?
Angle. Yeah, he did. He
does do it in the match.
I miss that. I love that. Yeah. It's just.
He's
awesome.
so good, Angel, and I'm glad he's being used.
Yeah, so, both of them. Yeah. Carrillo as well.
Carrillo is good. Yeah, good.
I've enjoyed them since their NXT days.
Yeah, it was a good match, and we said last week it was the best match on the show. Obviously, this week it wasn't because you had Charlotte and Naomi, but they're getting some TV time at least. The New Day are going nowhere, which is a shame, but
yeah. No, well, let's move on to Roman and Goldberg. Actually, I will say decent promos this week. I quite liked how Roman was like, "I'm going to Goldberg." Quite
that's a great line. Great line.
And another line he did where he said, if I was around, people would still be wrestling in ECW because it wouldn't have gone under because I would have been there. And like a little dig at Goldberg, and I think even Goldberg, I can't remember off the top of my head now what he said in return, but Goldberg I think was right in his promo as well. But yeah, this again, I can only be so excited about this match. Like the max I can get is like a 3 or 4 out of 10 for this match because it's Goldberg, but it's got me to the 3 or 4 out of 10. It's got me. I kind of
disagree with you there because I might be severely disappointed, but I'm excited because I think this is going to put Roman over even more. I think he needs a recovery. I mentioned it in my prediction video. I think Seth took Roman so close to the wire. You need to really put Roman over here. And I think he's going to absolutely smash Goldberg. As he says, he's going to smash him. I reckon he is going to Goldberg.
I think he'll win, but I think it'll be an even match. Goldberg will get his jackhammer and spear in, I think.
Oh, I think he will, but I think he's...
I would love it if Roman just destroyed him. I would love that.
I think he might just destroy him.
I think he should ruin him.
I hope so. I hope you're right.
I really like the way these the promos were presented here, where they did like 2 separate interviews with Michael Cole backstage. Something a bit different, made it feel a bit more special rather than just doing an in the ring segment. One comes out, the other comes out. They do a little.
I think it's better for Goldberg. Goldberg's not great promo, so to have him in front of the audience live isn't the best idea. So
Also, one thing I'd like to say, not doing Goldberg's massive entrance every single time he's on TV.
Or Roman Reigns, by the way. That takes up a half the show.
God, yeah, it's too long.
Goldberg, when he comes out of the back, and they knock on the door, that's a cool entrance to do at a pay-per-view. But not every single time he comes out. It wastes 15 minutes. And then, as you say, you got Roman as well. You've had a 25-minute segment of entrance. But yeah, no, I agree. It's going well so far, and I'm a little bit more excited than you, Keeney. I hope I'm not let down. But to be honest, I think you were surprised.
What are you?
I'm about a 7.
I'd say about a 6. I'd say a 6 or 7. Yeah, I'm not like massively looking forward to it, but I'm not like I am looking forward to it in the sense of I'm intrigued what they're going to do.
Just remember how good Goldberg's last match in Jeddah was.
I'm just a bit scared that Goldberg could win. I'm a little bit scared. I am, honestly. It
could work storyline wise.
Is he going to fiend?
Is he going to chamber, and then you have him?
It could, I guess.
Instead of Roman Goldberg in Goldberg, is Goldberg going to fiend Roman? That's the question. No, surely it's not going to happen.
Well, that's exactly why I'm worried about Goldberg. Is he just destroyed the Fiend? For
anyway, the promo was great.
It was good.
About
Southampton.
I was Southampton.
Southampton.
I don't know where that came
Where's that
from.
come from?
God.
That's where Jamie Hayter's from. So it
is,
kind of is related
we might mention
to
it later,
wrestling in that
potentially.
way. I think we will.
So is Nina Samuels, I think. Anyway, let's move on. What else from SmackDown? Was there anything else?
I haven't got anything else.
No, only Johnny Knoxville turning up and ruining Sami Zayn's match, which was all right. And then they had a match, but the match wasn't not Johnny Knoxville didn't have a match. Sami Zayn. It was Nakamura versus Jinder, wasn't it, or something like that? I can't even remember what the match was now.
I honestly found that very lackluster. I've sort of gone past. I love Johnny Knoxville, but I'm past that now.
Yeah, I think we're
getting it though.
That does bring us on to skid mark territory, and I think it's, again, I'm not going to spoil anything, but WWE put a tweet out after SmackDown, or like a couple of days after SmackDown.
No, it was Saturday morning. Yeah, I read it Saturday morning.
So very early after the show to say spoiler, and then the headline of their tweet gave away what the spoiler was.
I don't
without announcing. So I can't say anything, but they gave away what happened without saying what happened, and it's just, I don't get why they would tweet that. I know it was pre-recorded and people were going to mention it online because they were at the show and it's going to get around. Maybe they're trying to get ahead of the curve. I guess that's their thought behind it. But how they can present SmackDown on Friday as like
Did they delete
a live
this
show?
Because I don't know what this tweet was. I
think it's still out there. I think if you go on their website, there's an article.
It's definitely still up, and it's very common knowledge what's happened here. And it's a big spoiler from SmackDown this week, basically.
Yeah, I will not say what it is, but
next week we'll say
the headline tells you exactly what it is without giving away any names or anything or what match or anything. It tells you exactly. Yeah, because
it's a massive spoiler. And next week we'll look back on it and say that was the thing.
Yeah,
wow. I know. Well, I'm with the listeners here. I don't know the spoiler. Yeah. I don't want to know.
It's
going to be funny if I come along being like, "Oh my god, that was so good," and then that was the spoiler.
I mean, again, it's just.
It's also my skid mark, by the way, because I didn't have anything I hated across any of the shows this week, but to spoil your own show in advance is very stupid. Because I know other shows do it, but.
Well, AEW always record Rampage after Dynamite. So there's a couple of days, they've already recorded Rampage on Friday. Yeah. You don't see AEW put a tweet out saying, "Oh my God, this happened on AEW." So I just don't
something this big as well. Like, you just shouldn't do it.
I'm excited to see what it is now.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to Raw. We'll see what happened on Raw. What did you guys take away from Raw this week? What was your big?
I think the main thing of the show was.
You've muted yourself, Fish.
Yeah, sorry,
what was that, Fish? Sorry.
The main thing on the show for me, I accidentally pressed mute mid sentence.
Absolutely rookie error for experience.
And I believe it's a top mark for one of you. Is the women's gauntlet match. I thought this was really, really well booked, and WWE loves gauntlet matches, and they normally book them really well as well. I will say that. That's one thing they're good at.
When I heard gauntlet match, because I know how banging they do.
I swear they didn't even advise it either. They're just like, by the way, here's a gauntlet match. I was like, oh, hello.
They didn't advertise it at all. And I mean, these gauntlet matches, they go to this well a lot, and because they're good at it, and they what they do well is they always seem to showcase the right person. Yeah. Like, even if you don't think they're the right person at the time. And that's why my top mark this week is just Rhea Ripley, her performance. She was in ring for 45 minutes on Raw.
Absolutely.
And just looked incredible.
She needed it. A bit like Naomi.
Yeah, my God, did she need it. We had this, obviously going back to Kofi Kingston before Kofi Mania. He had that gauntlet match and looks incredible. And I think Seth Rollins had one. A year or so back, and
amazing.
So many of these, again, not necessarily star making, but
even Ricochet recently had a good one.
Ricochet,
nothing come of it, but he had a really good one.
And just seeing her here, she beat everyone and then went on to lose
cleanly as well.
Belair at the end,
everywhere,
clean. It was brilliant. And
the one on
Doudrop
was really
some of them.
impressive.
Yeah, Doudrop was impressive. They've had match before in on a NXT UK takeover.
Yeah, I was thinking that must have been an old NXT
they have wrestled
UK
before
title
Ripley
match.
and Doudrop. Yeah,
that did bring me a bit of like
incredible.
our old NXT UK vibes. That did.
They did. Yeah, I mean,
I forgot about that.
I enjoyed all of her little individual matches in here as well. I thought
everyone wrestled well, didn't they?
Yeah,
everyone wrestled well.
Yeah, they did. The only thing I will
say
about how they book these corner matches is it's quite predictable who's coming out at the side, who's coming out towards the end. You're not going to have Belair and Ripley first two. You're going to leave Belair till the end. You're going to have, Well,
you could have had her in the middle and then eliminated. Like we didn't know Ripley was going to go all the way.
Yeah, no, I know. You are right.
It's obviously only going to be the first two, but
well, it's when she beats a couple. Well, next it's going to be this person because it's not going to be Belair because they're not going to have Belair come out now.
What an instant classic, by the way. I want to see that at a pay-per-view in the future. Belair versus Ripley.
And now I think Belair is primed for a good WrestleMania match. And I've got in my mind who I want it to be. And we might as well move on to that now. No, Ripley.
Oh, I was going to say,
yeah, you said Belair.
Sorry. Yeah, we've all predicted Belair to win the chamber.
I was going to say Belair. I think is going to face Becky. Yeah.
I did like the stipulation of this as well. By the way, the fact that the winner
to come out last.
I think that's a really good idea.
I'd quite like if they did this for Rumbles as well.
My only slight criticism of it is they didn't have the sixth entrant when they did it, and then they revealed the sixth entrant later on in the show, which I didn't think made a lot of sense. I was like, well, I was expecting the sixth person to come out after Belair at the end. When Belair was winning, I thought either the sixth entrant's going to attack her, or they're going to come out and be like, "I'm the sixth person, beat me." And it didn't. They didn't. And then Alexa Bliss just later on in the show goes, "By the way, there's still a spot. I'm in." I was like, "Okay, great." I mean, great. She's in the match. Don't get me wrong, but it was a bit of a weird way of doing it.
Interested to see how Belair, how her character is, how she kind of looks because she's looked different throughout these segments over the week.
Do you mean Bliss? Sorry.
Bliss, sorry, yeah.
You said Belair twice.
Belair on the brain. God.
What were you going to say about Ripley? Because I've got a theory about that as well. So I'm just intrigued if it's the same.
I think Ripley will have a match at Mania, and I think it will be against Alexa Bliss. That's what I think they'll do at WrestleMania.
I have a different idea, but I like that idea.
Them two will collide here in the chamber, and this will then lead on to Mania. One of them will cost the other one winning the match, and Belair will win as a result. I think they'll be the last three, and I think these two will do each other over, and we'll get Belair winning. It's my prediction.
I have a different theory, just a random prediction that I thought of.
Tell us, Austin.
So Rhea got all the way through this gauntlet and lost. So that would be frustrating, even though she fist bumped Bianca and Belair. I can see her starting the chamber. Rhea be the first two, go all the way through again and lose again at the end. And she's going to get so frustrated and pissed off that either on the night, she's going to beat down Belair afterwards and turn heel or something. Or on Raw, she's going to have another match and get like rolled up or something and lose. And then she's just going to flip. And Beth Phoenix is going to come out and make the save or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Purely because...
That feels from left field for sure.
Well, Beth Phoenix tweeted something about Rhea Ripley, just a picture of Rhea Ripley the other day, saying there she is or something. And I remember when Beth came back, I said I'd like to see Rhea Ripley. I did say that a couple of months back. I think that'd be a cool match. I thought it'd be a cool match, and I think Beth Phoenix is someone that could well be a Mania. Alexa Bliss is a good idea as well, by the way. If they don't do this, but I just have this feeling they might do Rhea v Beth.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about that is...
obviously, you'd have to turn Rhea heel. That's why I said...
Yeah, they could have... They've just had Nikki turn on Rhea. For Rhea to then turn heel this quickly after feels not something they would do. If she hadn't just had a tag team breakup where she's been turned heel on, I think you could have been bang on. But it just feels like they won't do that this soon. And I think,
maybe not.
I say, Mania is so... We think we know the Mania title matches in the women's division. We may be wrong, but we think we'll have two singles matches. Who knows where Sasha or
and Alexa could easily face Becky yet, by the way. She might win that.
She could.
I don't think she is.
A freeway, you can have a fatal four-way.
I just think Alexa v Rhea, a proper feud. I actually mentioned this. If you go back
that would make
to pods before, I mentioned I want this match.
You need Alexa to be full heel, though. And I don't know if she is.
Yeah, I don't know where Alexa's
I don't think that's where
it's
she
interesting.
sells.
She's not really she's still a bit dark though, and I think
but that's not
they could tell a story of the nightmare, the like Alexa trying to be nice but has this dark side and trying to get a dark side, and there's going to be something in that. I think that's my prediction anyway. We'll see. We should get points for this.
I don't have one this time. Believe it or not, prediction. I don't have a prediction on
Rhea Ripley's WrestleMania match.
I've got a prediction for like the ref and stuff like that. Yeah. But I don't have one for Rhea Ripley.
I was just thinking earlier. I've got basically a Mania card in my head of what I want to see and what I think could happen, like combined almost. And that was one of the things. I was thinking of the women's matches because me and you, Keen, you mentioned last week maybe like Lita v Sasha Banks or something.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking maybe you could have Beth Phoenix because I was trying to think who could face who. And I mean, you could have Alexa in a big match at Mania, but I don't know if she will be. I don't know. There's only going to be so many women's matches on the card.
I think they're going to see how she's responded to over the next few weeks.
Yeah, there is 2 nights though, and they're going to have at least 2 on each night. You'd think.
Yeah, but you've got the tag titles. I don't know if they're going to even be on the show.
They might not even be on the show. I think there's more chance of us getting Alexa v Rhea than a tag team title match.
I probably agree with that, but
maybe we'll get Alexa and Rhea tag team. Yeah, probably team up. Yeah.
Yeah,
there'll be some odd team. Maybe
to be fair, you might get Nikki. You might get Nikki and Alexa again. You might get that.
What about the Bellas? We said about that after the Rumble. That was like the one thing that happened at the Rumble. Bellas and Zelina and Carmella.
They haven't appeared yet, though, have they?
No,
which makes me think that's not happening.
That's because they don't care about women's tag division, so it's not something they're going to bother with.
But yeah, very, very good segment.
Very good. What else?
Very, very good. Priest versus AJ Styles. I'd like to talk about.
Go for it.
What do you think? So I feel that they're not too sure what to do with Priest at the moment.
Absolutely.
I think they're pulling his sort of getting angry and ruining matches. I think that we're sort of coming away from that now. I don't think they're going to push him heel. I think they're going to keep him face because I do think he lost a bit of momentum, which I think is a great idea. Keep him face, keep him with the crowd behind him. I think they were sort of testing the waters and it wasn't working. I think they had an amazing match here again. Thought it was a bit strange to have Styles lose before the Elimination Chamber because it does make him seem a bit weak. But
yeah,
that was a bit odd.
Yeah, I kind of thought AJ might win this.
They've been doing that with the women and the men's competitors a bit too much. That is one criticism I do have because they had Austin Theory lose last week to KO.
Yeah,
obviously the women have been losing because they've had gauntlet matches. So
yeah, I think that's okay though if you lose in a gauntlet match.
Yeah, I know, but still, you still have to get pinned. You know, when you could be built strong. So it's a bit odd.
Yeah, but I'm happy with Priest as champ. So it wasn't.
I don't think they know what to do with that at the moment. I think
interesting. What again? I think it's kind of the cliche of maybe we just get a multi-man at Mania. We can just throw
I had a match in my head that would be fresh and I think would be great, but I don't think they're doing it.
What is it?
Well, if you've got this Damian Priest character and he's got this Damian side to him, where he's a bit crazy and a bit like almost like a demon. Do you see where I'm going here?
I think so.
Demon Balor.
The demon's actually got to be around for that to happen.
I don't know where Balor we saw Finn Balor on our TV.
I don't know where Balor is.
He was losing Austin Theory last time we saw him.
I think that would be a cool match to do. If I was booking the Mania card right now, that's what I would do.
Yes, but you have to have the demon win his next match.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Priest then loses the title when the demon wins. And then you have Finn Balor as the United States champion, which is fine by me. But I don't think Finn Balor's even going to be on Mania card, to be honest. I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's injured or they're just not using him, but a bit worried about Finn Balor actually at the moment.
Yeah. Please get in touch, Finn, if you're listening. Get in touch. Let us know you're all
right. Yeah, come on the pod, Finn. We'll have you on.
We'll book you.
As Demon or as Finn, whatever you like.
Oh, great if he was Demon. We should
dress sat there as Demon, just saying nothing, scaring us all. To be honest, we could dress
falling off top ropes.
Yeah, just suddenly see him crash off screen. I just thought that was worth a mention. One, because I thought it was odd AJ lost, and the fact that I think they are turning away from the Priest heel turn.
Yeah. No,
they're turning on.
I think you're right. I think you're right there. So what else was there? I mean, we had the Arcade Broga party, which doesn't really anything. I thought it was going to be like an in-ring thing, but it was kind of a backstage. We had a weird Apollo and Commander Aziz.
I like the fact we have the commentator.
Kevin Patrick.
Kevin, and I like the fact he was involved in it. I think that's quite clever.
One thing I did like about it was Orton wanted no part of it whatsoever and was just on his own. Like, I'm doing my own thing.
And then that does lead on to the main event. We had Orton and Seth.
Yeah. Which is a match we've seen, over the years plenty of times, but was really good.
I don't know why we're laughing, but
sorry. I was trying to work out why you were laughing.
I said Orton v Soft, SF, and everyone just seemed to it was like tumbleweed. It was like no one had anything to say about it.
No, it was a good main event. It's a match we've seen. Like I say, it's a match we've seen a lot over the years. So it's not. I wasn't like overly excited about it or anything, but it was good.
It's just a cool main event for Raw, isn't it?
It's sort of. I'm a little bit torn at the moment because it's as if Orton. I was so convinced he was going to turn, but now he's like sort of okay with the toga party and things like that, and they're sort of both saving each other all the time.
I think that they've seen the money in Arcade Bro and they're keeping it going for longer.
Yeah,
I think the original plan was to keep it going to Mania, but Vince has gone, no, these guys are too popular and they're really good together, so they've just kept it longer.
The pops Riddle gets as well.
Maybe we'll go to SummerSlam.
Comes in.
Riddle is.
And he's in the Elimination Chamber match, which leads nicely on to sort of the opening segment of the show. I hate these segments where one person comes out after the other. But what I did love here, and we say it all the time, is Brock's character at the moment. Him coming out, attacking Theory, and then taking a selfie with him was amazing.
That was so good.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I just loved it.
It was. And also that kind of made you realise why Theory's in this match. To be thrown around. He is going to be the ragdoll for Lashley and Brock, isn't he?
Theory. Probably.
So he makes
that's why he's
a name,
in this match.
Isn't it? That's why Vince has become his best mate. Said, "You're going to get your ass absolutely handed to you." I don't know, but I don't know if that was good.
Have they dropped that storyline now with Vince, though? Do you think? Do you think they've dropped the story? Because I haven't seen it for a couple of weeks, and since Shane's gone, coincidentally, they haven't been doing it because I think the plan was Shane v Austin Theory.
That's a shame if that's.
It seems. I don't know if they've dropped it, and if it is a shame for Theory because.
But he has been pushed into that match though, so fair enough. He's got himself.
He's in the chamber match. He's in the WWE title match. I mean,
I must say that Brock's cardigan was absolutely lovely. Yeah,
it was
woolly.
I want one of
jumper cardigan thing on. He looked the part, didn't he?
It was great.
He's really sold into this character. The fact that
he's having the time of his life.
Fans as well.
Yeah,
he's like fist bumping fans. When would you ever see Brock Lesnar do that?
This is a million miles away from his old character. A million miles away.
He's doing interviews as well. He's breaking tables on Pat McAfee's show. He's hanging out with the Jackass guys and slamming them through tables. Like he's enjoying
He's having
himself.
Fun now, isn't he?
Yeah.
He doesn't look grumpy all the time.
He did an interview basically the other day saying, I get paid a load of money and I'm having a fun time, so I don't really give a shit what happens. That was literally what he said.
What a life he's got. He does bare minimum work, has a great time, and just...
He's actually doing quite a lot at the moment, though. Fair play to him. He's appearing.
I like Brock like this.
Yeah, no, I agree.
This is what I want.
None of us want him to win on Saturday, but...
We've all predicted him to win, haven't we?
I haven't.
He will.
I
think it's going to happen, but I didn't go for it because I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not having it.
I prefer of the undercard 4 to win.
I think anyone winning could be interesting story.
A couple of people have predicted Seth to win on our predictions already, so that's interesting.
They could. They were going to put him over. He really could win. But
it wouldn't be mad if he won.
Raw, so,
I wouldn't mind it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
What we can say is it's a great chamber lineup. That's
I would go insane.
Brilliant 6.
Oh, it's gonna be. I think the match is gonna be amazing.
I feel I'd go pretty mad if anyone won. I'm kind of in that space right now. I'm happy with whoever wins.
The only one I'm probably gonna go. Is my prediction of Brock.
I think that's probably the most.
It's only because I don't want title be title, really.
Yeah, and I don't think I want Lashley
going to beat Reigns.
I like Lashley. I just don't think I want the title on him at the moment.
Imagine AJ or Riddle or Seth as
Riddle would be a great.
I mean, Theory would be a bit weird, but
yeah,
I don't think
the only time I think you could really put it on Riddle is if you're going to split him and Orton, and it's because he wants the title, and then you have Riddle versus Orton.
Well, that could be a reason for them to split. he's champ and Orton gets jealous, or
I agree. I think it's too much money in it. Too much money in the tag team. So
they're huge right now. Okay, bro, absolutely huge.
Yeah, they're great. They're great.
Yeah. So anything else for Raw?
There's a couple of other things. Obviously, there was the women's title contract signing segment between Becky and Lita, and just the way Becky came out here was nothing like. I've not seen her like that before.
I don't really understand what she was trying to.
It's just a little bit crazy, didn't she? And I don't know why.
It's almost like I couldn't tell if she was like embarrassed or tired or fed up. I could not tell what was going on with her body language. I was well confused by her.
I thought it was like embarrassed, like sort of scared, shrunken.
I do kind of like her, like whole I don't want to hurt my idol, and don't make me do this. So that's kind of cool, but
I think it's just a big play. I think she's doing this to lure in Lita, and then she's going to be an absolute horrible bugger when it comes to it. I think she's going to play it in the ring, and then she's just going to start beating her up, and it's just going to be one of them play, because she's that arrogant the whole time. It doesn't make sense for her to suddenly go within herself. And I hope
you're probably right.
I like Big Time Bex. I want her to carry on with this character all the way to Mania.
Well, I think we've all predicted Becky to win, haven't we? I think it's obvious Becky wins, and then the winner of the Chamber faces her at Mania. I don't think Lita's winning the title. But I do want to see Lita stick around for a little bit longer till Mania and have a match.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So I think we've been very positive, haven't we? So I think it might be time for my skid.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you've got this.
It's not a huge thing because I didn't care too much about it, but I was thinking to myself, where's Omos been since the Royal Rumble? He completely disappeared, and I thought, well, he's got such a bad reaction, they're not bothering anymore. But no, the poor Hurt Business get absolutely destroyed by Omos. I think it's a shame that such a good tag team who could do so much either with Lashley or just on their own in the tag division, when I think you need a bit of a mix-up, because it is the same few teams constantly going off against each other. Just a shame to have someone just destroy them. There's not too much more for me to say. I just thought that was my skid mark. Don't really enjoy Omos in ring, and he's ruining a team I think should be doing more.
I do agree.
I think he's ruined a lot since he come in.
I agree with you on the Hurt Business as well. It's a shame that they're barely on TV anymore, and now Lashley's got the title back. They could really use them as like the fodder for Lashley at least, so at least they're doing something.
I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't they come out to Lashley's music?
I think they just come out to the Hurt Business, normal old Hurt Business music.
Yeah, but it just feels weird. Why are they still the Hurt Business?
I don't know.
That's Lashley's group, isn't it? And MVP made that. It's a bit weird that they got kicked out.
That says to me that they really don't care about them.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. They do not care about them.
What I also find weird as well is there's a built-in storyline really with, if you did have the Hurt Business with Lashley, the history with Shelton Benjamin and Brock being friends. Yeah. They've played on that relationship in the past. So they could have done something there, but nothing. It's disappointing, and I agree with you. Almost squashing two people, stuff like that. It just feels It all felt directionless from both Omos and
especially two big guys who are actually really good in ring. It's not like they're two little scrawny 205 lie. I know Cedric was, but he's beefed up a bit. And Cedric's an absolute tank.
Cedric's
a great wrestler.
They're both beasts, and they're so good wrestling. And it's just a shame that they're not doing anything with them. So there's my skid mark.
I've got one little more other thing to talk about on Raw, a little bit more positive. Well, you may not agree with me on this, but I personally enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed the 24/7 stuff this week. Sometimes this stuff is, dreadful. It's been our skid mark plenty of times, but I like that they finally did something with Dana and Reggie, because they've been sort of teasing it for a while. They was in a different location here in a restaurant having a meal, then Tamina come in a disguise with Tozawa. R-Truth was dressed as a waiter. But it wasn't that bit. That bit was all right. And then there was another segment later on. And Reggie Dana's basically friend zones Reggie. And then he just rolls her up and pins her. And I was like, I actually popped for that. I was like, go on, Reggie. Get her. I've been waiting for it.
I did like how the waiter come around us when she was on the floor, was like, here's the bill.
That bit was funny.
Comedic time in at the
end. Did you see the ref as well? when they were doing the chase, when they were chasing Tamina and Cesaro off, there was a plate of food and the ref stopped and started eating it. He's like, I've got to stop the food. It was really funny.
Have a laugh on day. I
actually enjoyed this segment.
Yeah,
for what it was.
What it is.
And
I don't think I have to.
I quite like the waiter section. I agree with you. That part was quite funny. But I didn't really note this down to mention it.
Yeah, it's
not my bag at all.
I would have forgotten about this if you didn't just mention it there.
The only way I'm really going to enjoy this title is if they turn it into the hardcore.
I'm just glad they did a payoff.
Have everyone going mental. Backstage,
they can't do that. They can't do that.
Well, I want them to.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
What? How dare they?
But I do think now it's just going to be back to doing what Reggie was before, which was a bit boring. So
something I thought was a bit more interesting than that segment was we had Street Profits versus Dirty Dogs, and then we had Ciampa on.
Yes, this was definitely worth mentioning that Ciampa was there.
An interesting sort of. I know we've got this storyline going back and forth at the moment between NXT.
I was going to mention this more when we get to NXT because I think it's more relevant.
They've done this with
I'm just wondering
Grace Waller and AJ Styles. Yeah, but with this Grace and AJ Styles, it's very similar. The storyline is on NXT, but they come.
Ciampa's more established, isn't he? That's the only reason I'm thinking.
He is, and more people will know Ciampa. But I hope this is this his best route onto main roster to feud with Dolph Ziggler?
Well, that's what I thought, but they're doing the match on NXT next week, so I don't think it is.
Imagine if this carries on and you get Dolph Ziggler versus Ciampa at Mania.
Well, that's what I said that last week or before, whenever. That I wanted to see that. But,
sorry, that's how much I listen to you on when I'm not on the podcast.
No, I would love that match at Mania. It's like a random sort of undercard match that's just on the show, like a 10-minute great match. But they're doing it on NXT next week, so I don't think they're going to do it again at Mania.
Oh, Braun Breaker and Ciampa.
Yeah, versus the Dirty Dogs.
That could be sick.
Yeah,
and that would really
last week as well.
I did say that they could do that.
I mean, well done. See, this is why we work together, because we have the same minds.
Yeah, no, that would be good as well. It would be good as well, because you're not going to do anything else with Ziggler and Rude at Mania, I'm assuming. I don't think they'll be going for the tag titles, so do that.
I actually think they should move Ziggler to NXT permanently. Is what I would do. I wouldn't move Ciampa up and move Ziggler down.
He's too good at putting young stars over and training, I think.
No, NXT is perfect for him, isn't it? All the 2.0 guys, he could put them all over.
But you need someone on there on the main roster who doesn't mind taking the losses and the bumps, I think.
There's loads of people like that in there. Sami Zayn.
I think it'd be good for a while if he did that, but after like 6 months,
I just think on NXT he's a bit
again,
more of a star. Yeah, I'm not saying forever, just for like a 6-month run. Just stay on NXT for a bit.
If he won the title, then I'd have
He's going to get fandangoed, isn't he? If that.
Yeah, I'd happily see Ziggler. I think Ziggler's a great opponent for Braun Breaker for the NXT title. By the way, I think Breaker could throw him around. It could be really good for.
They
Breaker.
might do that because you've got the takeover. The takeover is the morning, same day as Mania. It's in the morning.
Yeah, maybe that's what. So they could do Mania weekend
in the same place, so that you could do Ziggler v Breaker.
Well, they could.
I actually think that's more likely.
Go fatal 4-way there because we're pretty much there, aren't we, on NXT now? But the NXT main event, we had Breaker and Escobar for the NXT title on Vengeance Day, and obviously so many.
Should we segue onto NXT? I think.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we're on NXT.
We're there now, aren't we?
We're on NXT.
Yeah.
NXT segment.
Yeah, we had Legado interfere, we had Elektra interfere, then we had Ziggler, then Ciampa. So everyone got involved in this one. And,
this match wasn't particularly anything special until all this chaos happened, I didn't think.
Well, again, Escobar is just overlooked, I think. This isn't about Escobar at all. It's unfortunate because he's in the NXT title match. I just don't think he's the story here at all.
No. He looked really cool coming down to the ring, but...
He looks awesome.
Yeah, wearing
I
Eddie
love
Guerrero
his
tights,
promos, but I just think in the match he was a little bit too slow. I know the way that sort of beat Breaker is to wear him down, which is what he was doing, but it felt for half, maybe 3/4 of the match, it was just so slow until these interferences started coming in, and then Breaker sort of took over, and then the match got more interesting. Unfortunately, it was probably one of my least favourite matches of the night.
I would agree with you on that. Until the end, and the chaos happened. Yeah. And then it was good, but yeah, it was only really without the distractions, it was quite a boring match. It was just an average match, really.
It's a shame when you remember some of Escobar's matches. One I can remember was, I hope I haven't got this wrong, but he had a match with Devlin, I believe.
Yes.
And that was insane. Maybe it's the type of opponent he's better against. Jordan Devlin, that is, who's on.
Yeah, well, he was in the cruiserweight. He was the cruiserweight champion, wasn't he? So he had loads of cruiserweight matches.
Yeah, that was a great match. Yeah, ladder match, wasn't it as well?
I think it might have been.
And Devlin. I think it was a ladder match. Really good.
But I remember
because they both had the titles, didn't they? So they did the two titles by the ring.
That's it.
Same as Cody and Sammy did recently.
Yeah, that's what made me think. All right, so what was your favourite match of the night then, Krusty?
I just want to say before we move on to that,
sorry,
Breaker's just Breaker. I love him. His entrance was so cool with the setting fire to the Vengeance.
He does
do
cool entry. He has had a couple. He had the one we broke the X against Ciampa. So
that shows they are big on him.
He's definitely got the star.
They are.
That was just so cool. I was transfixed by that, which I think was why I was a little bit disappointed, because it had this massive start and then just suddenly flopped. So you caught me a little bit off guard here. Dunn versus D'Angelo was fantastic. I know.
Yes. That. Yeah. That's probably was match night, wasn't
commit myself that it was my favourite one. I'll tell you in a minute.
I think there was another one that was equally as good.
This was insane, though, wasn't it? Because I've been a bit disappointed with some of the D'Angelo matches recently, but this one definitely pulled it out of the bag. One of the spots that I thought was absolutely incredible how they did it was when they had the toolbox, and D'Angelo's fingers were in it, and then Dunn jumped on the toolbox. It just looks so cool. I just thought it looked amazing. And without analysing it too much, it's just like, ouch. How does that...
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Ouchies.
So cool.
Yeah. This was a great match. I think this was probably my match of the night, seeing as we're doing that. But I thought this was really good fun. The only thing I was a bit surprised by was Pete Dunne went over.
Yeah.
I thought D'Angelo was going to win, so I was surprised. And this was one where we had D'Angelo kick out of the bitter end.
I was going to say
and then Dunn kicked out of D'Angelo's finisher.
I was very shocked when, especially Dunn won after he hit him with a cricket bat around the back and then did the bitter end, and I couldn't believe he kicked out.
Yeah.
And then when he kicked out, I was like, well, obviously Tony D's going to win then, because that's like a massive...
And then he did his finisher, and then Dunn kicked out of that.
Yeah. And then Dunn did another...
I don't know what D'Angelo's finisher is called.
There was a power bomb for a table spot in this. There was Dunn's hands were tied at one point behind his back, and Tony was just...
Through a table was insane. He launched him. He absolutely launched him across the ring, and that table exploded.
I think they've had good chemistry in the ring, these two. I think their matches have been good.
Yeah, actually, I think this was my favourite match of the night.
Yeah,
I've decided.
I'm glad we got there. What about you, Fish? You mentioned another match might rival it.
Carmelo Hayes and Cameron Grimes was equally a different type of match. It wasn't as chaotic and no weapons involved as such, but that was just a really good, fast-paced, technical.
I feel like I'm probably repeating myself a bit here, but you mentioned Breaker's a star. Carmelo Hayes is an absolute star. Absolutely, he is ready-made. He's you put him on Mania now and he'd be fine. He's that good, I think.
So good. Looks amazing. Yeah. Promos insane.
Talks apart. I think Trick's really cool. Back up for him as well. I think they're a really cool duo. And just look great. And I love Cameron Grimes so much as well. I actually think Cameron Grimes should go to the main roster now. I don't know what more he can do on NXT. He's not going to win the NXT title. He's not going to win the North American. He's had stupid feuds now a few times. I don't really know what he does unless he goes in a tag team or something. I think that's all that's left for him on NXT.
When you mentioned Dunn being put over, I honestly think they were looking to put a few of these stars forward for the main roster. And I think they've now backtracked. I think now they're pulling in all these big names, Stone Cold, Goldberg.
Maybe Mania season's not the time to be calling up Pete Dunne and Ciampa. Yeah.
I think afterwards we're going to get some people, aren't we? And I think that they're just trying.
Raw after Mania, I think we get 3 or 4 NXT 2.0 guys. That Raw after Mania, Ciampa will come out. LA Knight.
I honestly think it could be as soon as Breaker. I think he could be coming out.
If he'd have to lose the title, and I don't know. Problem is, I don't know who loses the title to, unless Dolph Ziggler beats him for it. Which
That could be cool.
I wouldn't hate it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I would not mind if Ziggler was NXT champion and Breakker moved up and took Ziggler's place on the main roster. I'd be quite happy.
That'd be amazing, actually. Let's do that. Book it. Book it, Vince.
I think there is a possibility that we do get a multi-man match at TakeOver for the NXT title, which could be a way to move the title off of Breakker. Because we've got Ciampa, and you can have Ciampa, Ziggler, and Breakker, and have Ziggler pin Ciampa for the title, and then you have Ziggler and Ciampa feud while Breakker moves up. That's how you could do it, and to move Breakker. Again, depends how quickly they want to move. Because again, I don't want them to call him up with no vision for him. If they call him up and they do a carrying cross with him, or they call him
straight into the main
event, Keith Lee, you could. But we were saying this about carrying cross when he's in NXT. We thought, he's Vince's type, carrying cross. He's going to be type of guy they push. Keith Lee, how can they miss with Keith Lee?
But Breakker's a better wrestler.
Not than Keith Lee.
No, carrying cross.
Yeah, no, he probably is saying Carrying Cross. But I just think there's so many that we've said in the past, it's hard to mess up with these. I think Braun
Breakker's one of those
Shayna
guys.
Baszler. Yeah.
I think he's one of those backstage that won't allow it to happen. I don't know. I don't know him. I have not watched anything of him. He just seems so charismatic.
I also think because it's NXT 2.0 and they're molding the stars how they want them to be on the main roster, they wouldn't change him. Whereas with Karrion Kross, it was still Triple H's NXT. As soon as they got up to the main roster, Vince was like, okay, what's your gimmick? You have to wear a helmet. You have to do this. Whereas with Braun Breakker, because Vince knows who he is in NXT 2.0,
he's a Steiner.
He's probably just going to keep him exactly the same, and that will help him, So
no, that is a good point. That's a good point.
He's already got fans behind him as well with the like barking. He's going to love it. If he comes out and the fans are behind him doing some sort of chant, that's it. He's done, isn't it? As much as I love Karrion Kross, he was all entrance, wasn't he? So
he was. I mean, there's others. I mean, Hit Row. There's a few.
No, that was a shame. Let's not get onto that.
That was a real shame.
That would be skid city.
That is a real sore subject to the Recharge Wrestling.
I don't want to start predicting people getting fired again because it might come true.
One thing we just before I forget about it, actually mentioning both Pete Dunne and Carmelo Hayes while we mentioned them, we talked about their matches. They had a confrontation later on in the show, which suggests that
this might be why Pete Dunne went over, because they want him to go on to face Carmelo next.
Maybe they do that at the takeover at Mania, and then
it's a pretty cool feud, isn't it? Really?
You have Carmelo Hayes beat Pete Dunne, and Pete Dunne then move to the main roster or something like that.
Well remembered fish. There was actually a segment I wanted to mention, not a match. Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez. I actually really liked this segment. It's got the comedy factors. And I think they've turned the page a little bit now with Cora Jade. They bought into she's a training sort of, she's training to be a good top level superstar. Whereas before they were trying to put over that she was like the best thing since sliced bread. She was just I
like the mentor student dynamic they've got going on here.
It works so well.
I thought
this is an amazing, well-trained superstar. Cora Jade is this sort of up-and-comer who wants to be at that level. And I like it. It's funny. I enjoy it now. This is where she should be, not in top title matches rolling people up. Well done.
We also got EO and Kaylee Ray as well. In a little segment where they were smashing things and just like a bit of a cool team.
Zoe Stark was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, I think it's like I don't know. Right now, I think I'd predict them two to win the Dusty Cup. EO and Kaylee Ray. That's my prediction.
The only thing is,
but I think Raquel and Cora could. Yeah.
So I want Kaylee Ray to be on her own. That's the problem.
Yeah, I know, but they've done it with EO and Zoe Stark before. Just put anyone together.
Unfortunately, it then wastes Io Shirai. That's the problem, isn't it? It takes them out of the singles competition, which is a shame. I don't mind seeing them in the Dusty Cup. I don't want them to win it.
Yeah,
then that
I don't think the singles division needs Io Shirai. I think she's unbelievable. Probably the best women's wrestler in NXT, but she's passed NXT. And like I say, I mentioned about whoever I said before about could go into the tag division, Cameron Grimes. That's kind of what Io Shirai's doing now. She's done everything she can in NXT. So now she's doing a little tag run. She did it with Zoe Stark. Now she's doing it with Kaylee Ray potentially. And then, realistically, she should be on a main roster by now. Io Shirai, because she is,
definitely. It's such a shame, isn't it?
Should we move on to MSK versus the Creed Brothers, the final of the Dusty Cup?
Wow.
This was very good as well.
Really good match.
It was a really good showing Vengeance Day overall, really, wasn't it?
It was good wrestling. This actually felt a bit like old NXT in terms of the match quality.
I feel like we're saying that a lot now. I feel like
this was proper match quality. Yeah, 2.0 is. It is getting better, guys.
I think it's good now.
I know there's a lot of.
I really enjoy it.
Yeah, but we have a few listeners that have gone off NXT and 2.0 they kind of zoned out. And I think fair enough at the time, but I honestly, we've watched it, we've been with it, and I think it is getting back to a standard which people will like.
I think at the start you had a lot of these experimental gimmicks like Lash Legend and all this stuff going on, and there wasn't that much wrestling. And they've got rid of it. I mean, they've still got funny gimmicks. They've still got people like Wendy Chu and all this kind of stuff, but the wrestling standard has gone back up high. I think there's still a lot of the old NXT work. People talk about it like none of the old NXT workers are there still. They're like,
they're all in big spots. Pete Dunn.
When Gargano left, they were like, oh, that's it now. There's no more NXT 1.0 people left. And I'm like, well, there's Ciampa, Dunn, Strong,
I think we thought
Ciampa
was leaving, though, didn't we? And suddenly he came back. I think the first 2 months were proper ropey, but now it's really into it. You've got some great stars. You've got Breaker. You've got Carmella Hayes. We've got Waller, super heel. You've got some amazing new people coming through here. It's just so good.
Yeah, and two of them won the Dusty Cup, which we
look at Toxic Attraction.
We just did Toxic Attraction. Yeah, they.
We'll go on to them in a minute.
Great.
I forget they're new because they're that good.
No, I actually think that with the Creed Brothers, I kind of forget they're
so.
I feel like they've been around for so long.
The first time I saw them, I was like, wow. And they don't disappoint me in the ring.
I actually think this matchup, Creed Brothers v MSK, is almost perfect because both of them work so well with each other, such like opposing styles.
And I think
MSK will fly around for Creeds, and
I think the right team won as well.
Fisher, 100%.
Yeah, 100%.
And I love Bivens' reaction to it as well. By the way,
whose reaction?
Malcolm Bivens' reaction to it.
That was amazing. It was like shock, wasn't it? Not just like arrogance. He was like. And I was
like, my boys did it.
The trophy, like up by the trophy and stuff like that.
He's great. He makes them even better, I think.
I like Diamond Mine a lot.
Yeah, I agree, but I really like Diamond Mine. I want to see a bit more of Ivy Nile, though. I want to see her in the women's division a bit more. Yeah. She hasn't done too much.
We did start to, didn't we?
I mean, you could have an Ivy Nile, Mandy Rose, little feud, and that would be good because they're opposites, aren't they?
She hasn't actually spoke on the mic, has she, at all?
Yeah, but if you've got Malcolm Bivens there, you don't really need to, does she?
Almost treat her like a Brock Lesnar, an early Brock Lesnar, because she's that powerful, isn't she? Yeah. No, I agree. I'd love to see more of her. Such a cool character.
Yeah, very cool.
I think we mentioned Toxic Attraction. Well, I know I did because I said it. They retained the titles against Hirota and Hartwell pretty easily. I was actually pretty surprised that it didn't look like much of a challenge to them. There wasn't too much. I was a little bit let down with this one.
This match was a bit weak.
It's the actual matchup, but the result and the way it came about, I really enjoyed that. I think there's too much sometimes of, Mandy Rose got involved, and this happened, but they sent Mandy Rose out to the back and they won it clean. And I actually thought their joint finisher was actually really cool. Slightly reminded me a little bit of Undisputed Era vibes.
Yeah, O'Reilly Fish. Yeah.
It was actually a bit like that. Yeah,
it was basically cool. That, wasn't it?
Yeah. I didn't think of it until you just said it, but yeah, it was.
I think they're really starting to cement. I think they were like looking to maybe take the tag titles off of them, but I think they've actually thought these guys are amazing together. Let's really solidify them, give them a strong win because Hirota and Hartwell have been looking really good just lately.
I do think I think JC and Gigi need Mandy, and I think Mandy needs Gigi and JC. I think if you had Mandy on her own or you had those two on their own, I don't think it would quite work as well. The three together, I think, is brilliant.
They're great, but I do disagree. I think the tag team would work fine on its own. I think Mandy would struggle on her own.
Fisher.
That's my
vote.
Yeah, Fish, tell us. Which one are you going for?
I mean, I don't know, really.
This is your five.
I do think
whoever loses.
I do think the tag team would be fine on their own, but I do think Mandy also adds to it. But yeah, I don't
on the fence.
I don't.
He's got splinters on his ass.
No, I do think Mandy wouldn't be. I don't think Mandy would be. I will say I don't think Mandy would be NXT champion. Would work without them there.
No. That's
I definitely think that. But yeah.
Yeah. So I want to mention something from this show, which was a segment, not a match. We had Gunther and Imperium out in the ring and confronted by Solo Sikoa.
Now, my first thought on this was you've got Imperium with Walter. It would be a real shame if Solo Sikoa had some family members to call upon for a six-man tag team match.
Fisher.
It's not an evil look then.
Usos are way too big for NXT, unfortunately.
So was AJ Styles.
Yeah, but they are tag champs and with head of the table. AJ was doing not much.
Oh, imagine if Roman came with him and smashed
Roman on NXT.
Gunther, and we have Gunther versus. Well, you don't have to keep it on NXT. You drag it to the main roster.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've spoken this whole NXT segment about people who could come up. Gunther's
this is getting really far-fetched now, though, isn't it? Let's have Usos and Roman versus Imperium.
It makes sense, though, because Solo Sikoa on his own against Solo going solo against these guys, he's going to get destroyed if he doesn't have backup. And who better?
Yeah, it's the only thing is Solo's.
They already chant Uso at him every time he goes out. So
you have to. It's
not exactly a secret that he's.
The only thing is, I think Solo's been booked really well so far and has looked really good, and he's improved in the ring. You know, his recent match with Boa, I think, was the top mark from Krusty a couple of weeks back, and he's not going to beat Gunther, is he? So this feels like I don't know. I just don't know if this is the right.
Well, they could win a six-man tag.
It could be, but it's going to be Solo v Gunther, I think.
Well.
God, absolute silence. All right, what else from NXT? What else?
Well, I think we move on to
AEW.
There was the LA Knight thing if you wanted to go there, but
I loved LA Knight, but I don't think there was too much to say about it.
I don't think there's much on this.
LA Knight. He's great. All right. That's all I want to say. Need him on
AEW Rampage.
Here we go. Should we start with the main man?
Let's start with him. Go on then.
It's Hook time.
He's back, isn't he? He's back. He's back on our screens.
The thing is, he didn't do anything out of the ordinary as to normal, but I still love watching.
He's cool.
Everything he does is out of the ordinary. Everything he does is like
one thing I loved, which I don't think he'd done before, that he did in this match, was he did the classic Samoa Joe walkaway spot.
That was so good.
And he looks so cool doing it.
When he walked away from the turnbuckle.
Samoa Joe looks cool when he does it as well.
Yeah.
But if you're going to put it on someone else cool to do that, Hook's the man.
Why is this guy the coolest person?
Do you know what it made me want? It made me want to see Hook v Samoa Joe now. That's what it made me want to do.
And then I want Joe. Thing is, that happens. I want Joe to put him to sleep.
Show him.
Thing is, they almost have the same finisher as well.
Samoa Joe v Taz. How about
that? Well, there's similarities there. You know, it's not really a surprise. Hook and Samoa Joe, there's similarities. And
if Joe turns up anywhere, I am going to go insane. Yeah. Well, when I say anywhere, AEW WWE, please. Don't want to see him anywhere else.
Don't watch it. You'll be tuning in to New Japan Pro Wrestling when he turns up.
No, I've got enough wrestling to watch.
CYN or whatever it's called. CYN or whatever it's called. Is it CAYN or CMY?
Well, Fisher's just dropped a little. You got to explain now because that makes no sense at all.
Oh,
next week's news segment absolutely ruined Fisher.
Well, it's this week's news, really. I just didn't think it was. We had so much other news.
Tell us very quickly.
Well, Braun Strowman and EC3 have made a promotion that's apparently going to get a TV deal. They've already got people like Moose, Matt Sydal, and Matt Cardona agreed to work for them. Not exclusively. Moose is still Impact, but yeah.
So he's an Impact champion.
And what's her name? Marina Shafir is another one. Wesley Blake. A few names.
Wesley Blake.
Starts on his roster.
Nice one to end on. Wesley Blake.
I believe Karrion Kross as well.
Let's bring another one in. It's going to be small.
I think Karrion Kross might be as well because he's friends with those guys. So
yeah, it'd be cool just to see something else.
But
can't see it picking up.
That is the segue of all segues, by the way.
Yeah, how have we gotten to bloody Wesley Blake to AEW? Absolutely.
But yeah, just thought we mention that quickly
From Hook to Wesley.
That came out literally a couple of hours ago.
Yeah. Is there anything else from Rampage?
Not really. It was a couple
I
of
just like
Danhausen.
I like Danhausen. I think he's hilarious.
The crowd went mental when he came out.
Yeah, he is
absolutely mental.
I think it's going to be a bit of an Orange Cassidy here, where I sort of blow hot and cold on him. But at the moment,
I feel like I could get bored of him very quickly.
Just him doing.
For the
YouTube, I'm doing a Danhausen impression for anyone listening to the podcast.
Silent.
I love it. I just think it's great, but I'll probably get bored of it quite quickly. But at the moment, I think he's amazing. I watched a little bit of his YouTube stuff, and he does make me laugh. He's just strange. So I think we can go to something that wasn't strange. Straight into Dynamite. CM Punk straight in the middle of the ring. What a start.
Oh yeah, this was some promo.
Dropping bombs, Punk.
Just sat when I saw him sat there, I knew shit was going down. I knew he was serious. I was like, here we go.
The pipes were coming out.
Yeah. Great promo. Talked about it's first he does his crowd pleasing stuff, which he does all the time, and he's talking about his straight edge stuff and all that, which is great. But then when he got into the thick of it with MJF, he shut MJF up, which is like no one does.
Yeah, I think that was really impactful, by the way. MJF coming out and saying nothing. I think that's really impactful. Like, because he's the biggest, like, gobbiest shite going.
How long's the pay-per-view?
Really
when are we getting the pay-per-view?
It's the end of this month, I think. Well, next month.
There's still plenty of time for him to reply then. I think I'd have liked this one before, the silence before the pay-per-view. If you're going to get MJF to win.
Yeah, the go home, yeah.
I loved him getting the picture out.
That was MJF so good. It's amazing that actually exists.
Yeah, I know, that's an actual picture, yeah. It's amazing.
It's so cool. And I loved the slow build-up with the dog collar match reveal. You mentioned earlier, Keeney, they've only done one before. But I loved it because it was like a Valentine's Day thing. And he was talking about Roddy Piper, and he was saying it was something about Piper, and I was confused what he was going on about at the time. But it was actually a really clever promo because he was talking about Valentine. Will you be my Valentine? And dog collar. I was like, what is he on about? But what I didn't realise was the Piper thing he was on about. His match was against Greg Valentine. And he tied Greg Valentine up. So will you be my Valentine? He was on about him getting him on a collar. It was actually really, really clever promo. If you knew what he was talking about, I didn't.
Yeah.
And I thought it was good anyway.
Yeah. So one thing I liked about it is, and I think again, this has been another crusty skid mark in the past, is he's mentioned about how stupid cage matches are. I was like, I could get you in a cage match, but someone's going to climb in or you're going to open the door. So why would I do that? I love that because they have this weird cage matches to keep everyone out. Well, it never happens. So I like that he mentioned that. I was like, I'm not going to do that.
I did think cage match the moment he said it. I thought he's going cage match.
Well, he said it won't be a cage match. Like, what's
or
next?
Like a Hell in a Cell or something.
I thought they were going to do a version of Hell in a Cell, but not call it that, obviously.
When they do that, which they will, that's going to be insane.
We did have War Games, didn't we? Or Blood and Guts.
Yeah, we had the Blood and Guts match.
That's cool.
Yeah,
we've not had a one-on-one match. We've not had a one-on-one.
No, but that match when it comes, Revolution, when it's coming, will be amazing.
There's actually some really big stuff in here.
So I want to mention quickly. This could have been my top mark. So I loved this a lot. Was the Danielson MJF promo? MJF? Moxley, sorry.
You're having an absolute mess.
I am an absolute mess. Can we start again? Moxley and Danielson. I thought this was brilliant.
After a great match as well.
Yeah. After Danielson
really good.
Destroyed Lee Moriarty. I love how he's not winning with moves. He's like almost.
The finish was amazing. He was led back, flexing his muscles, doing a submission.
Yeah,
it's like
so cool.
It's too easy.
He is.
I love the fact again.
He is on another level, Danielson.
Yeah,
I think he is the best wrestler in the world. He is number one.
He probably is
number one. Brian Danielson. He is insane. How good he is.
So good. And also, I love the fact that AEW are putting these mega stars in the ring with not nobodies, but people who not many people know who they are. They're not that popular.
Well, Lee Moriarty's up and coming, and it kind of fit
They
in
give
with
them
his
a proper
promo
match.
about, it needs to be more aggressive, and it's just quite cool. And what I like about this, before we get into what Moxley said, is whatever happens, whether we get Danielson v Moxley or Danielson and Moxley, I can't wait for either of those things to happen.
Yeah.
So
I think we're getting both, by the way.
They have got the crowd. Oh yeah, because Moxley said I like to fight people for a team, didn't he, or something.
Exactly.
So they have got us right where they want us.
I like to swap blood, I think he said, which is cool.
Yeah.
Is that what he said? Yeah, I want to swap blood.
Yes. Blood Brothers.
Trade blood. Something like that.
And just going back to the actual Moriarty match itself, the crowd were really into it. And there was like a spot where they were both upside down on their heads.
Oh yeah, like hitting each
and they
other,
were hitting each other. It's so I don't know what.
Yeah, Lee Moriarty's really good.
Yeah, it was really really.
And
cool.
again, just nice to see him showcase and give. What a spot for Lee Moriarty. He's on national TV against Bryan Danielson.
Yeah,
in like a decent length match, not a squash. So
I love the fact that they do that. So good.
Yeah,
props
it's
to AEW.
Brilliant.
WWE never do that.
No, and when they do it, like Wardlow, where they get them squashing people, that makes that person feel really special because they don't do it with anybody else. So Wardlow feels amazing because he does beat people with like a few moves, but nobody else does that. So it makes Wardlow feel special as well.
Wardlow's the man.
And he had another one on this
match.
show. Yeah, him and Keith Lee in the same match is a bit tasty.
Yeah, he beat Max Custer.
And I think Powerhouse Hobbs might get in it as well. It's going to be a right big man
Hobbs
fest.
I'm going to love it. I'm going to.
Well, surely Dante Martin's got to win because they can't have three big guys, can they? In one ladder match, that's a lot. I mean, how many men are in the ladder match? 7,
You're probably right.
6?
It probably will be Dante Martin, to be honest.
Yeah,
because he'll fly around like mad.
And he'll bump for Lee and
Lee
Wardlow.
Could you imagine if Wardlow manages to powerbomb Keith Lee?
He probably can. Wardlow's mental.
Keith Lee could powerbomb Wardlow, but I'm not sure about the other way around.
Yeah,
Keith Lee's
I can't wait
so
to
big.
see those guys.
Anyway, do you want to go? Do you want to talk about the actual Moxley promo, Keely?
I just thought Moxley again. We kind of mentioned the stuff I was going to mention about how he said that he likes to fight people before he teams with them, and I just love it. And I like how, again, I think we're so conditioned to these promos, going one way, then taking a turn at the end and going the other way. Whereas he was like, I'm not saying no, I'm not saying yes. I'll see you next week, basically. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool.
I like how he basically said, I haven't got a reason to say no. I actually haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apart from the fact he wants to fight him. That's it.
Yeah, but Danielson would love that though. Danielson's character, it makes sense for them to have a proper blood and thunder fight and then team up. Maybe Revolution.
The only worry is who loses. Are we going to get some?
I reckon Danielson beats Mox, and that's how Mox is like, okay, fair enough. I'll team with you because you're that good. That's what I think. And he did say he's up against the best wrestler in the world. Because he said he brought back their past and how he wrestled with Danielson when he was first coming through 10 years ago, and how he's best wrestler in the world then. So he's, said how much he respects Danielson. So yeah, I'm super invested in this. Super invested in these two.
And also,
everything they do, I'm invested in. And this isn't the only, I'm so invested in MJF and Punk as well. There's just so much on AEW that I love at the moment. I
think that we could probably go on to the next sort of segment, which we're also going to be damn invested in. Adam Cole and Hangman Page. We're having a nightmare today.
The Adams. That's right. You got it right. Yeah. We're getting this, aren't we? Probably Revolution.
Just started off, isn't it? And they're sort of showing respect for each other. And I thought, hang on, what's going on here? And then here they come, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, who we've been wondering
nice
where
to see
they
Kyle.
are.
Yeah.
And then a big old brawl, and then we had Dark Order come out as well, which was pretty interesting.
And I thought that was telling because I thought the line that Adam Cole said, where he was like, "Well, you've basically ditched the Dark Order," and I was like, "He's got a point, And I like it when heels have points. We always say it all the time. When you kind of agree with the heel, it's kind of good. And he's basically like, "You're not very," because they were talking about each other's friends and how they're not very good friends. And both of them were kind of right in a way. So I thought that worked really well. Hangman obviously had a little, I think he had a little dig about, his friends coming and starting a revolution and we're leaving him behind kind of thing, which got a big reaction from the crowd. But yeah, it was a good start to the feud, wasn't it? Because this really is the first promo between the two. So you can't. That was the problem I remember when CM Punk and MJF, they had their first promo and they went mega, and then for a few weeks they couldn't top it, and now it's getting good again. Whereas here, I feel like they've left a lot in the tank, which is good. Yeah,
they have, and also, Adam Cole's still in the middle of Bucks and Red Dragon.
It's interesting because we've got the tag team battle royal coming up, and they're both in it, aren't they? The Bucks and Red Dragon. So we're going to get some tension there.
Yeah, and it's a triple threat match, isn't it? At
weird one, Matt.
Revolution, and there's going to be another match later. And I wonder, do you think they're both going to qualify eventually? We're going to get Bucks and Red Dragon or are we going to get? And are you ready for a segue? You go hop on Santana and Ortiz. Are they going to qualify? Because they beat Jericho and Hager.
I was shocked that they pinned Jericho clean here.
Yeah, amazing. But I think it's what they needed. Santana and Ortiz. This is what they need.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm all for this. I actually think they'll qualify for the match alongside one of Bucks or maybe neither of them qualify. They do each other over and someone else qualifies. Could easily happen, but.
Talking about that match itself, there was an amazing spot in this where I think it was Santana does a dive, flip into the corner, and Jericho turns it into Walls of Jericho somehow. Catches him, turns it into Walls of Jericho. Great counter spot. Really good. Amazing. So I thought Hager actually, we give him some stick sometimes.
Yeah, he looked right here.
His hot tag, he wasn't in the ring for long, but what he did was good and effective. That's what you want to do with him. Short burst of power, basically. And he looked ripped, he looked proper because he doesn't often get his ring gear,
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah, I thought he looked really good here.
I was impressed with him today.
Yeah. I was just really happy. I was really impressed with Santana and Ortiz. They don't get to showcase.
And obviously the big thing here was setting up the match. Another match for Revolution. So we're talking about Mox and Bryan, Punk and Thingy, and you're going to get Jericho and Kingston. And Cole and Page. Page and women's match, which is going to be pretty tasty as well.
Triple threat tag match, the ladder match.
Yeah.
Probably Thunder Rosa v Baker, probably. Yeah.
There's a little cheeky segue straight away.
Yeah, well, let's move on to that.
This nearly had my top mark. There's a couple of spots which sort of where Mercedes Martinez slipped up a little bit. She suplexed Thunder Rosa and she landed on her head, and then she slipped off the top rope and I elbowed her in the face. There was a couple of bits from there that really just sort of put me off of the match slightly. But this match was awesome, I thought. They both look crazy, and I think both of these wrestlers' personalities really sort of make you buy into this match, where they sort of just really going at it. I think Thunder Rosa's match was absolutely amazing. I've said it so many times.
I think she's the best woman in AEW in ring wise.
Yeah. 100%. She's just so cool. Yeah, I think probably. She is getting pushed. We see this here. She's getting pushed to that top spot now. And I'll be quite disappointed.
And she's wearing a Kill Bill outfit, isn't she, as well?
Yeah.
She just looked very Kill Bill.
They were brought in the crowd there. She did a dive off where the fans were, on top of Martinez. This is great. And I really like the way the story went at the end as well.
Although, do you guys know who the hell her sensei is? I know now he's from Cobra Kai, but when he came out, I was like, who the hell was this guy? Where's he come from?
No, because I
think that's playing. Cobra Kai is very popular. So
over my head, that one. Yeah, no, it is popular. Yeah, it just went over my head.
I had no idea who he was until afterwards. Yeah.
We're getting a couple of matches out of this, really, aren't we? We're going to get Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Martinez.
Yeah, and they may do a tag match as well, and then we'll get the title match. I'm sure we're going to finally get Rosa and Britt again, and early pred, but I think it's time Rosa wins.
I think you need to take it off.
I do agree. Although I still think there's something in Hayter and Baker for the title. I think there's something in that.
I do, but they seem to have gone away from that a little bit, so I don't think they're going there now.
Well, again, it's little things, but if you notice when they do the DMD, Hayter never does it.
No.
Just little things. When they did it backstage, Shivani and Rebel and Baker all did DMD.
Maybe they'll do it, but maybe they'll do it. Maybe.
And Haters stood back there. She's never done it the whole time.
To be honest, that might play into why Britt loses the title, because she might.
I guess you can have Hater be Baker.
I think that's what makes sense.
It's probably a good way to move Baker on from the title scene after losing it.
Yeah, I think that's the way you do it. You have a Hater either not help her or cost her or something, and she blames her, and you go from there. But I like the idea of Martinez and Rosa teaming for a bit against them.
Although they were having this big thingy, a bigger interview, or talking the other week about how much they hated each other. It just seems a bit like
I know.
But I think the way they were talking, it was like they were going to murder each other. Now
it's one of those things when you get in the ring and then they keep respecting to each other.
Yeah.
They have that
They're
match
those
where
sort of
like,
wrestlers, aren't they?
Yeah,
I kind of like it.
It's like for the Randy and Bray being friends after burning each other alive. Oh yeah, we're all right now.
I must say the
quite.
finisher that Thunder Rover used, it was like some pile driver onto the chairs. Looks amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely loved that finish. And she was even led there for like 5-10 seconds, and she still got the pin. So I was thinking, I hope she doesn't kick out, but she didn't. Yeah, just thought it was incredible.
Well, it's been a great week for women's wrestling, hasn't it? We've seen, probably the three best matches of the week are women's matches. So
right up there.
It's been an incredible week. And
I think the two best matches in WWE were definitely the women's matches.
Yeah. And now we're about to head into a pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia at the weekend with two women's matches on the card. 8 women competing. It's a good time for women's wrestling.
Great time,
I think
3 matches on the card.
Yeah, of course. The Ronda tag match. Yeah, 3 matches. So you got 12 women competing, whereas a couple of years ago we were struggling to get
and
to.
Lita and Becky's on the billboards like in the city, which is just unthinkable.
So good.
So great. It's great. It's great.
Amazing.
The only match that really picked it to the post for me for best match of the week is actually my top mark. So I've saved my top mark right to the end.
Yeah, what to end?
We Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. Whenever you see these two names, you're in for a good match. And wow, they didn't disappoint. A couple of spots from this was Sammy doing a senton whilst Darby was led over the ropes. To get that on target, and then the way Darby bounces out of that ring, both of them are just insane. And then another one where Darby does like a suicide dive out of the ring, and Sammy catches him straight into the cutter, which is basically an RKO, onto the outside. These guys went at it, and we've said it before, the speed Darby Allin hits, sort of runs at people and hits them, and somehow doesn't injure them or himself is insane.
He does absolutely nothing to protect himself. Absolutely nothing. Right. Like most people, they'll they'll hold their neck in, or they'll put their arms out slightly. He just throws his body. There's absolutely no regard to his own condition.
He just sprints, doesn't he? Full pelt, absolute full pelt. He ran into Sammy in the corner, and just the way he sold it as well was just mad. Yeah, I thought this was an amazing match, absolutely amazing. The finish I thought was a little bit ropey, but I understand what they're doing here, and they're setting up Andrade.
Well, we're talking about could be another match at Revolution. Andrade, Darby Allin.
I'm glad that Andrade's finally doing something worthwhile.
Yeah, I hope we get this.
Yeah, this was amazing, and these are 2 elite level wrestlers. These 2.
Yeah, there was a cutter. He did a cutter counter Guevara from a dive. Just awesome.
Were you sleeping when I just mentioned that?
Sorry, he just said that. Yeah.
Sorry.
You're getting me back now. I'm not listening to you last week on the pod. I
heard you talk about it. I didn't hear you describe the exact moves. No. There's some great moves in there. Some great stuff. And the after-match angle was okay. I wasn't, when I saw Matt Hardy coming down, I was like, oh, here we go.
Oh, God, yeah.
Why is he still... Well, this is a complete segue off of AEW, but I saw a video the other day with Matt and Jeff Hardy. They're basically joining together on a different wrestling promotion. I wonder if eventually we're going to get them both in AEW. It's almost inevitable, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that's the only way I want to see Matt Hardy on my TV now, so with Jeff Hardy next to him. Apart from that, I do not want to see him anywhere near my TV, personally. Yeah. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm looking forward now to Andrade Darby. I think that'll be insane. And I don't know who's next for Sammy to challenge him.
Anyone he has a match with is just
could be
crazy.
anyone. Yeah,
so good,
honestly, I don't mind. But
So
I don't think that match needs to be on the pay-per-view because it's more of a TV title, isn't it? It's defended on TV almost every week. So I don't think you need a TNT match.
They're having a ladder match for the number one contender for it on a pay-per-view, so who knows?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think maybe he'll just come out at the end of that match and square up to whoever wins, and that's his part on the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
Maybe not.
Excited to finally see Andrade do something.
Yeah, and we know he can have great matches, and Darby Andrade is brilliant. Again, there's so many great matchups they could have. It's almost like, they could have these same people we've all mentioned in different configurations, and they'd still all be great because it's just so many top stars. Without
anything else to say on AEW?
I do not.
Just having a quick look at my notes.
I think I'm pretty much exhausted. We've gone for that. Was a great Dynamite. I think we almost went through every single segment.
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Really impressive.
Was brilliant.
I think we did, other than a little.
Another good week of wrestling, guys. I mean, we've had a really good Raw, a good SmackDown, which isn't always the case, and a really good NXT show, and then a really good Dynamite. So I think we've not really had a bad show this week.
No. And that's building up to some great.
And that is a common occurrence nowadays, isn't it? That every show, SmackDown was the one that was letting us down a bit, but it's getting better. SmackDown.
Yeah, and this week coming, obviously we've got Elimination Chamber, and then NXT looks kind of stacked next week as well. The matches on there. Dynamite will be great. I'm sure we'll have Raw will be the fallout from Elimination Chamber. So I'm expecting some big stuff there. Who knows? Maybe we'll get the debut of Cody. Who knows?
Well, maybe
you never know.
Right.
Yeah. Also, it's not even in the ring. Wrestling outside the ring is exciting. So every day we might get some news.
It is, and we're about to. At the moment we're in like second gear. We're about to go into third, fourth gear now for the WrestleMania road to WrestleMania because that's all going to kick off.
Yeah,
big time after the Chamber. Yeah. Big time now. So we're going to get. Yeah, it's all going to kick off. So can't wait to talk about it with you two.
So I think we're all fully charged now. That's for sure. Thanks for tuning in, however you've been watching us or listening to us on the podcast. So you can follow us on Twitter at Recharge Wrestle. We've actually got our predictions competition going on at the moment. Even if you haven't been involved, get involved.
We've had a lot of replies already, by the way.
Yeah, so it's really popular. So everyone's
been going off during this. During this podcast, it's been going off. So
look at that. It's all going live. So also on our YouTube. So if you search Recharge Wrestling, you'll see we've done our prediction videos for this weekend's Elimination Chamber. We do that every pay-per-view. You also catch all the podcasts and any news that comes out. So make sure to like and subscribe. We're also part of the Robot Republic group. You can follow them on Twitter at robotrepublic_ and at robot-republic.co.uk. So we have been Recharge Wrestling, and see you and listen to us next week.
Goodbye.
See you guys.
Bye.